Yeah, welcome to Fireside Chats once again. What's on your mind, Linda?
In a dialogue today, or was it yesterday maybe, I heard someone say something to themselves that I thought no one should speak to themselves like that. And I've had these thoughts before where I'm a little bit unusual to most people, where I don't talk to myself in a derogatory way ever. I've never called myself an idiot or anything like that, but I realise there's so many people that do, and I find it really sad. I remember years ago when I first discovered how some people talk to themselves, I was in tears because it was something new to me. I'd never come across it before. And I heard some woman and she was putting herself down so badly that he had me in tears. I thought he was awful. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront and maybe discuss how people can be more aware and the power of it and the implications of it.
Okay. You're not talking about the inner mind chatter. You're talking about the derogatory.
Yeah, so talking down to themselves, like they wouldn't even say that to a friend, or you would never say half of these things to someone else, yet they're speaking to themselves in a really awful way.
So what do you notice? There'd be some consistency. What do you notice with these people that do this? How's their mannerisms? How are they?
Not happy, miserable, and I think it comes down to self-confidence and all that sort of thing. And I guess a lot of it stems from childhood. Maybe they've been told that this is all they're worth. I'm not sure. Either way, you have to know that you are better than that. Everyone deserves to know that they're better than that.
Yeah, well, it's like with healing. The mind doesn't know the difference between imagining, pretending, visualizing. It's pretty much the same thing. And people have, some people have trouble visualizing. Some people see things. Some people feel things as combination to varying degrees of all these things, So visualization might be stronger for some, and pretending or imagining or however the mind works, it's about finding your own way based on how your mind operates, of course. But I think we naturally try and resolve or justify or work things out a lot in our throughout our life. Even as a child, we're always to some degree seeking understanding, whether we are aware of it or not. And so the mind chatter becomes subtle and gets louder over a period of time without awareness. It's amazing the impact, yet we're not even sure of what we're saying. We're not aware of why we're feeling worse. It's ultimately, it is mind chatter anyway, of course.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you another experience of mine. When I was playing football, I went through a patch, and I think I was back about this earlier, where if things happened or if I got hurt, the voice would say, "You deserve that pain," or there's a patch where if someone did something or hurt one of our teammates, I'd sort of try and go after the opposition and put them in their place to some degree. And I wasn't a dirty player. I just try and tackle them harder. I'd just try and, I guess, do the honourable thing to some degree with my teammates.
Can I just ask, would you say that to yourself to psych yourself up more, or was that because you genuinely felt that you deserved it?
Well, it's interesting how it's sort of evolved over a period. So, and you don't realize, like you say, for myself, it's like, yeah, I deserve it. Like, well, that initially back to what happened initially when I'd stand up for my mates on the field, I'd be triggered, and I'd feel like if they were vulnerable or as a blind shot or something happened, I'd just naturally in me, I just went, no, I've got to protect them, And so it was like that for myself for a period where I'd be triggered if someone did something or, they punched me or something happened. I'd just think, oh, okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Look at the number and I'm going to sort of go after you. But it's weird in a sense because I didn't go after him, try and punch him or anything like that. I just tried to hit him in a fair tackle, as in, hit them hard in a tackle, not with my fist, but with my shoulder, things like
Yeah.
that. So, which is interesting because often you'd just want to get, if they were dirty, you'd sort of, you might push them back or so, but there's certain rules that you follow on the football field, and obviously you can't go there. It's not a boxing match. You can't go and hit someone. So you sort of bide your time, and you just try and hope by the end of the game you've held everyone accountable to some degree. So initially I'd be triggered, and if someone hurt myself or in a tackle or I got a bit hurt, I'd just get angry and go harder, where some people, if they got hurt, I remember playing 9, 10 years old, and one of our forwards took the ball up and got hit pretty hard in a tackle. And then the next time I took the ball up, and we were young, so we're playing full length football on the football field instead of the shortened versions like there are today. He got the ball, he's running up, and he ended up running sort of from forward to sideways to running back towards our try line. And he's a soft sort of guy. Like, he wasn't an angry guy at all. I had anger issues back then. And then attacked him. If he might have scored a try. He might have ran home. Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was shy off the football field, and I was different on the field. I had like two different personalities in some way. What I realized as a teenager, like if I got injured or got hurt or something happened, a voice would come over and say, yeah, you deserve that. And that was a way that I rationalized, was trying to not necessarily understand. I was trying to rationalize the pain or rationalize. And I didn't realize that that was what was slowly seeping through was some pretty big self-worth issues. And in the end, I went from, over a period of maybe 8 years playing football, it went from being triggered and defending myself because I was angry, to going through a patch where I didn't even want to defend myself. I just lost interest. It's like, yeah, I deserve that. And that's it. I was losing my fight. And that's around the time where it's amazing. We tend to be in the right place at the right time to meet certain people. And I spoke to a pretty good first grader, and he told me about a mentor he had and said he might be able to help me. And this guy was Rudy Talmack. He was a brilliant man. He was my mentor for a while. I did a Myers-Briggs with him, and he would teach me things about just unraveling the mind to some degree, hypnosis, but I never really worked through my emotions. I just learned to focus the mind in a more direct, more potent way, and program the mind, that sort of thing. And I realized, and it hit me, and I went, because I've been soul searching and sort of subtly reflecting. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I think having a mentor and him asking questions and trying to steer the mind in a positive, proactive way, you start reflecting on things subtly. So it hit me. The circumstance happened when I was young where someone was hurting another person, and I remember saying to myself, because this was people sort of close to me. I remember saying at the time, because this person that was hurting another was looking at me sort of smiling, and I thought, and I remember a friend of mine was trying to help, and I was just standing there, stood there. Sorry, I just stood there frozen, and I remember saying in my mind, I hate myself for being so young and not being able to help. And that embedded, and I was probably, I might have been 6 years old. And at 17, 18, I realized that was impacting me. And so I didn't feel worthy and had anger issues. And then it was my rationalizing and trying to deal with, I guess frustrations or times I was injured or things not going my way on the field or people being dirty on the field, as in, punching or whatever else they're doing. It ended up morphing into something where it's like there was no fire, there was no trigger. As I mentioned, having that mentor just made me realize, I just had that insight and went, And when we go into a childhood experience, we might begin that journey reflecting as an adult, but you get flung into that experience, and then all of a sudden you're seeing from the first person, you become the child, and you just remember the emotional turmoil. And this is, I feel, what anxiety comes from as well, is you go into that not realizing, not separating yourself from the experience. You become the experience.
Mm.
And when I realized that was a big catalyst for me, and I know in hypnosis that when people block out years of their childhood or certain circumstances because of, it's like people store memory through, smells.
Yep.
The deeper the emotional turmoil or the emotional experience, the deeper the memory.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's enough trauma, then you sort of switch off, and that's how you cope, and you may not access it again for the rest of your life potentially.
Yeah.
But the spiritual journey will slowly unlock every door. And it's not to fear, because you're in an adult, body, you're having an adult experience. So you can rationalize. And I feel generally when you unlock certain doors that you've you're cemented shut, so to speak, from a young age, when you get to the point where you can start understanding the experience and working through them, at that point is when you can unlock those doors.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just go, I want to unlock it now. Like, work has to be done to unravel, to get there, is my feeling. So, but this is the potency, I feel, of that inner turmoil. So you start talking to yourself, you deserve that pain, pain. And even at that period, it's like, I'd say I deserve it, but I still trigger and still fight back. I talked myself into it so much that I felt I deserved that pain, and there was no fire. Then when I had that real experience of when I was a child, maybe 6 years old, that fire came back. So it's like part of me was giving up. It's like I was unmotivated to even fend for myself.
Mm.
And then when I had that insight, that trigger, I could access it again, because on some level I felt I was worth fighting for. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I could fight and stand up for myself.
Yep.
So it's just that one insight that seemingly came from nowhere, because I wasn't trying to look there. It's just, I was in a space, an open space. I've had some great insights when I've been driving.
Mm.
It's just searching without thinking that without a preconceived idea of what you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And things can there.
Yeah. So what would you say the process of letting those kind of thoughts go? Is it something that naturally broke away and you just kind of left it behind, or was it something that you really had to work at to change your thought process?
Well, I don't feel it won't change unless you start becoming more aware. Like, the spiritual journey is all about awareness. Whether you do yoga, whatever practice you do, and this is what I truly believe, what I've experienced is that go where you resonate, and whatever spiritual practice, whether it's mantras or just meditating, or even, you might enjoy being in nature or gardening or something like that. But it's like when you're in a space of open-mindedness, you can have breakthroughs. But I feel ultimately you have to do a practice that takes you deeper into yourself. You have to, if you just do nothing, then in my experience, it just gets worse.
Yep.
So unless something breaks away and your life changes and your circumstances change, your experience change, that can lighten the load, so to speak. But there was no way I feel that it was progressively getting worse in my experience. It's only that I had a mentor and I was seeking understanding because of sport, because I wanted to, that was my escape. So I wanted to make my escape as efficient as possible, so to speak, to deal with it. So I was playing football with anger issues, running away from life.
Yeah.
I was dragging all those experiences and all these fears around with me, carrying it on my back.
Yeah.
So I feel like it won't go naturally. I think if being aware and writing it down can start unraveling. But ultimately, it's amazing. I've said plenty of times, nurture yourself. You should take time out and nurture yourself. And it's amazing how many people avoid that, and they feel guilty. They feel they deserve it. And it's like they're subtly, even those voices in their head, like, and unaware of that. The fact that they feel guilty because they take time for themselves shows that is exactly what they need: time.
Yeah.
And understand. I've said before, you cannot understand anyone truly until you start understanding yourself.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that you can only see as deep into others as deep as you are willing to see into yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I feel, you meet people that have an open heart, and that can trigger the depth of your heart and trigger certain things within you. But then you'll default to your normal understanding and the value that you hold within yourself. You will default to that in general. You go up and down, so to speak. You can have a highs, have a low, but I truly feel that the happiness that you feel in general is the happiness that you are convinced you deserve.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe you deserve far more than you think you do, far more than you can imagine for everyone. So the mind chatter, I think the starting point is, don't make jokes about yourself in a negative light. Just don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do that, just come back and go, no, I'm only joking. I'm pretty amazing. We'll make things lighthearted, and you can break the ice by cracking a joke about yourself if you feel nervous, or, we sometimes do it to make others feel better, or, just to break the ice, so to speak. I feel if you do that, you should always see yourself in a better way. Like you should, so, uplift yourself as well. No, I'm only joking. I'm pretty amazing. Well, no, I'm fantastic. Why don't you joke around about that? It's a great thing. How about you joke around about how amazing you are, or how good you are, how beautiful you are?
I do it all the time. Do it all the time.
But I do as well. Like it's all should, and have a laugh at that. And because you start, I don't think that builds the ego. It just softens the mood, and it just it can build the ego. Like you can force feed yourself and pretend that you're something, but or pretend that you're. I really feel that people are far more beautiful than they can possibly imagine. But the shell that they form around themselves with ego and saying things is like underlying that shell that there might be sadness and fear and anger and frustration and hurt and pain and all those things. But underlying all those things, there's such beauty that will just blow their minds. All they have to do is go past all the other stuff, which they've experienced or may have experienced or seen, or but underlying that is something amazing. And I feel that you've got to go through rough seas to get to the paradise on the other side. And the fact that the sea is rough, it's scary. I don't want to go there, but we must. Just you wade your way. I feel someone's out at sea and they think they're going to drown, so you throw them a life buoy, and say, grab hold of that. But ultimately, they can stand up. Like it's the feeling that you can't touch the bottom, but you actually can. So it's like you give them a life buoy that they have faith in and have confidence to be able to carry out part of the journey. And ultimately they realize when they get close enough to the other side, it's like, well, actually, it felt deep. Hey, that's enough. Yep. No one listens to me. Everyone listens to me. See? There you go.
Yeah. You worked.
Ultimately, the water feels deep and it feels scary and it feels dark. But awareness enables you to see the bottom, and it enables you to touch the bottom enables you to touch the bottom and breathe at the same time. It's not that deep. It's the pool of emotions, the ocean of emotion is nowhere near as deep as you think it is. You can actually touch the bottom. It just doesn't feel like it. And I feel that, that the mind chatter will tell you things that's not true. And so I feel it's hard to just stop doing things that you do automatic. And this is autopilot. Spirituality, our journey is about getting off autopilot.
Yeah.
And just becoming aware that, okay, I tend to talk down about myself. So I'm going to try and make a mental note that every time I say something negative, I'm going to say something positive. Say two things positive, one thing negative.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how many, I've said to people, okay, how many negative things can you list? And they can rattle off heaps of things. Okay, give me some positive things. And they go, yeah. Maybe this, or maybe that. It's like, that list is completely upside down. It does matter what we tell ourselves. 100% it does. And like I said, one might say they're joking, but the mind doesn't know the difference. It doesn't. That's my experience. And,
Yep.
I've gone a lot of suffering, a lot of mind chatter, and, question whether it's worth being here, like many have. But
Mhm.
absolutely, when you feel like you're at the end of your tether, there's often right around the corner an opportunity for some great insight. They say some lights can only be seen on the darkest of nights. And that's been my experience.
Yep. I think people just need to not underestimate the power of even saying it as a joke, like you said earlier, is just say it as a joke, and then you got the whole philosophy of fake it till you make it. It becomes more and more natural if you just throw these things out there and have a laugh about it. It becomes much more natural to say it to yourself with time.
Yeah. And I feel, so transition, so for every one negative thing you say about yourself, just say two positive things.
Yep.
And then ultimately, when you get used to that, just say only the positive things and forget the negative things.
Yep.
Then from there, and while these things are happening, try and nurture yourself, try and take time out, do things you enjoy, and just listen to nice music. And even if you like heavy metal or like certain things, I still recommend, I would strongly suggest listening to music that enables you to feel like I don't know, my experience, this is me, and nothing against any type of music really, but you listen to heavy metal, certain music, there's like anger and like hatred, and that's okay in a sense to get in touch with that. But then what do you do? Like, just if it stirs the pot, it just muddies the water, so to speak. I just crackle a bit. So if it stirs the pot, it just muddies the water. So I just feel it's interesting because, like, a lot of these things, you had a very different sort of childhood where a lot of these experiences I spoke about, like I went deep into the suffering and different things, and you was sort of a lot going on around you. But yeah, interesting that a lot of things that people experience you didn't. It's fascinating, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, and I think, yeah, like I said to you before, there was many times in both my teenage years and in my 20s. I think in my 30s I stopped questioning it so much, but where I thought, am I that deluded that I have got it all wrong? I'm the one that's wrong and no one else is right, because I just felt so like I just didn't fit in. Like, I thought I was doubting, what I was feeling. My soul, I knew that I wasn't, but I don't know. It was bizarre.
It's like, though, like your mind was really strong, and you had ways to protect yourself, and you could not fall into the emotion. So there was understanding there from the first time I met you. But then the journey transcended by letting go, because there's some traps that people have fallen into that I'd fallen into, didn't really apply to you.
Yeah.
So your mind became like a steel trap in a way.
Yep.
And this is where it's hard, because people think hard is emotion, and obviously you feel hard through your emotions. You feel everything through your emotions, but it's about letting go without falling into the emotion, letting go and actually feeling.
I just felt like I had a knowing. I always felt like I knew things. I always had an inner knowing, but my emotions didn't overtake it. In many ways, I used to describe myself that I was led by my head, not my heart, because I wasn't ruled by my emotions. I didn't feel overpowered by them at any point.
Yeah, this is the thing that what I'm talking about is that you were ruled by the heart, or the head, not the heart, in a sense that you associated, and this is what a lot of people do, associate emotions with heart, where heart is something else. Heart is intuition.
Yeah, exactly.
Profound. It's more than people could imagine.
Yeah.
So then it's like, well, if I let go of the mind aspects or certain understandings, ideas, then what am I giving way to? Well, because you think, well, it's either head or heart. No, it's actually neither.
Yeah.
And that this is also, and our journey is not falling into the emotions, just letting go of the head and the ideas, and just learning how to nurture and get in touch with the softness within yourself, which is heart, because the softness isn't emotions. Softness is heart.
And that's, I think, where people make it the difference, because I think so many people are scared going into the heart because they're scared of the emotions. Like some people feel like they're never going to stop crying if they open up their heart, which in fact isn't true.
No.
Because eventually the emotions fall away when you go into the heart.
Yeah, well, it's just, I feel heart is the lever that unlocks the emotions. And because it unlocks the emotions, it brings it up. And depending on your trauma or whatever your experiences are or have been or whatever you're going through, the emotions overwhelm the heart. But it's the floodgate being unlocked. And the thing is, you can use the mind to some degree to close those floodgates to get so you're not wiping out whole, the self by feeling like the emotions is too much to bear.
Yeah.
So I think that's where the mind coming to some degree, but the mind's not the one that's ultimately, it doesn't have the answers. It's just a mechanism. It's anyway, it's the interpreter of heart.
Yeah.
And when the heart feels like it's breaking in a sense, then it will go into the mind to try and minimize the pain, but ultimately it's seeing through all pain.
Yeah.
And doesn't mean that you won't feel pain again. It just means that you can navigate your way through to a healthier way, even when you feel pain, and you don't rub it all over yourself thinking that's who you are. You just know that you deserve more, and the heart is the ultimate guide. The heart knows the way, nothing else does, and the heart it's confusing really for so many, and myself from the past, where the emotions, how do you differentiate from the emotions and from everything else? It's when we all feel so much, and once again, when we're all triggered a lot, it's easy to get overwhelmed by the emotions, and being overwhelmed by the heart is something different. So you've seen me, I've been sort of upset and sort of tears rolling down. I'm feeling absolute joy or just sympathizing or feeling out someone else's heart, and it's like you can barely hold it together. And that is beautiful. It's nothing to avoid.
Yeah,
it's profound.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. Many don't even want to turn that tap on because they feel like there's not going to be an end.
Well,
and I had a conversation like that not long ago with someone who I feel like they just need to let go a little bit, because they've been for many years. She's held on and held on and held on and held on, and she just feels like if she stops holding on, she's just going to crumble. She's just going to come all completely dissolve in a river of tears. So it scares her. That thought scares her.
I remember, just briefly go into this, but when I did just for a topic for another time, when I did my fast, 39-day fast, and do my meditation in silence, and I was in retreat or isolation, I call it retreat, for 14 days to the tail end of the fast. And I just connected with being in India and becoming part of the Sacha lineage. Just tapping into the love from the lineage was just overwhelming. And then when my friend came to get me, I could not speak about the lineage without crying, and I couldn't even get the words out. And I was just like, wow, I felt so open. It was so amazing. So, it took me a while to actually explain, talk about, some of my experiences during that time, because I couldn't speak about it without cracking open further. And it was just, I could not speak. I was that touched by what I felt in that experience.
It's just ultimate joy, isn't it?
Well, it was, and I was overwhelmed by love that broke me down. It's like I was just crying. It's like, and it's just profound. So, and I never thought at all it was, and I don't at all think that's weakness. That is, it's one of the greatest experiences of my lifetime, and I've had many. I've been luckily fortunate enough to have quite a few, and that is up there with one of the top ones. Where someone else outwardly looking in would think that guy's a mess. Look at him. Get through a sentence without, crying or breaking down. And if only they knew the joy of love that I actually felt. And, you can't put words on it. It's just, it was in my lack of words, you could get a sense of it if you're open to that possibility. So things aren't, or things are rarely as they appear. So I felt empowered and strong and open and loved, and but someone else looking in that weren't that, and if they weren't empathizing with me, they would see something completely opposite to what was actually going on. And it's an honor and privilege to be able to feel things like that, and irrespective of what other people's perceptions of that experience that I'm having, because no one would know unless you and I speak. We get a sense of what we're saying because we're open to each other without projecting on each other.
Yeah.
I don't have friends that project on me, as in none of my friends at all tell me how I'm thinking or feeling. They listen to what I have to say. No one says, and once again, with certain words, if you say this word, you mean that. It's like, how the hell would you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know how I feel within myself. You don't know anything, But, and that's why I'm lucky. I feel I'm lucky with my amazing friends I have, including yourself, because the openness, and there's no borders or, obviously ethics are it, but there's no, I don't have to fit in a certain cage or wear a certain type of harness to express to you. I express freely as you can. And this is how our true friends, this is how we are. And it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So
yeah, it's amazing. It's awesome.
But I feel back onto just rounding off with the thoughts. If I fell into negativity or crack jokes and was down about myself, we crack jokes a lot about ourselves, but it's usually about how amazing we are. But
we are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we all are. It's just that not everyone knows it. But if I fell into victimhood a lot, or just felt like I had no control, no power, then our dialogue and the way we are would be limited, and we can only limit ourselves. And I just feel this is all about liberation, obviously. And
for sure.
I think that, the mind does know the difference. Just remember between joking around and not. So just make sure that for every negative things you say about yourself, do twice as many positive things, and even as a joke. And if you don't believe it, it's a starting point. And then slowly stop the negative chatter about yourself. And I don't care what anyone says about you or anyone. The inner dialogue, the negative thoughts and putting yourself down, you cannot justify that to me, no matter what. And we've all done stupid things. Being negative within yourself and beating yourself up for the rest of your life is just locks you in that negative place. And there's no way of living. So if you've done something stupid or done something you regret, nurture yourself so you can start nurturing others truly. You have to mend yourself so you can help others and encourage others to mend as well. You and I have both been hurt in our lives, and I could keep whipping myself with the same whip, but I don't choose that. I made a choice a long time ago for something else.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a saintly life. I've meant hardly any of us have. So, but we are worthy for the choices we make now, and that's all that matters. Yeah. And if we beat ourselves with the same tarnished brush, that's an extremely limited and sad way to live. And I'm not saying that from a condescending point of view. It's just you're going to remain sad. You deserve better. And if you're listening to this, you're obviously looking for more, and you're looking for other perspectives, or you're looking for ammunition. But then seriously, the change starts now with the way you see yourself, the way you think about yourself, and just try something different. Start empowering, even as a joke, and see where that goes.
You're awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for listening in. We look forward to the next one. Any questions, by all means, send them our way, and we'll give you our perspective based on our experiences. So wish everyone well. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.